Well, after months of speculation, we know now Joe Biden has picked Kamala Harris as his running mate. There have been only two other women as vice presidential candidates on a major party ticket before this. The first was Geraldine Ferraro, a congresswoman from Queens who paved the way for women. Ahead of today's announcement, I talked with her daughter, who's sharing her legacy and the impact she made on today's political landscape.
I proudly accept your nomination for Vice President of the United States.
The year was 1984. The name, Geraldine Ferraro, a congresswoman and former prosecutor from Queens. The campaign, historic.
When my mother ran for vice president, I was 22. As much as I knew she was an incredible campaigner and very charismatic and a natural politician, I didn't realize just how much until I went back, as a much older adult and looked at all the footage.
36 years later, Joe Biden picks Kamala Harris for his running mate. It's only the third time a woman will be a vice presidential candidate. Geraldine Ferraro was the first. Her daughter, Donna Zaccaro, produced a documentary about her mother's life and legacy. Do you think we've made progress since your mother's nomination?
Yes, we've definitely made progress since my mother was nominated in 1984. You've seen so many more women run for office and get elected to office.
Yet Zaccaro believes whoever Joe Biden chooses will face similar misogyny and criticism that her mother did decades ago.
I think they'll face a tremendous amount of scrutiny, and some of the attacks will be the same and criticisms will be the same. Unfortunately, as you saw with the presidential candidates this time around, they'll comment on her hair, they'll comment on her appearance, they'll comment on her clothing, they'll talk about whether she's shrill or too aggressive.
Something she says her mom fought, along with smear tactics by the Reagan campaign.
The attacks on her during the '84 campaign concerning her pro-choice position as a Catholic were probably amongst the most difficult and hurtful attacks that she dealt with. She could never have an abortion herself. However, she felt that there should be a separation of church and state, which there is, and she would uphold the law.
Before being elected to Congress, Ferraro went to work in the Queens District Attorney's Office. She created the first Special Victims Bureau. She
used to have children testify sitting on her lap.
Ferraro had a huge impact on women in this country.
It did shift what people thought was possible for women and paved the way for where we are today. But it also inspired them to go for other job opportunities, to go for promotions, to do all sorts of things that they didn't think that necessarily they could do.
And as we head into what's sure to be one of the most important presidential elections in American history, Donna Zaccaro thinks the first woman vice presidential candidate to stand at that podium would be delighted.
She'd be thrilled. It was something that was very important to her, and she was very proud and honored to have been the first.
Right after the announcement, I got a chance to ask Donna what she thought of Joe Biden's pick. She said she's thrilled and ecstatic that history is being made once again.
Yeah, look, a lot of people, people have been sort of waiting on this pick to see who it was going to be for months now, and really weeks. The past couple of days it's intensified. So now the pick's made. So now we got to see what happens next.
Now we know.
All right.